Et salut tout le monde, c'est Link, on se retrouve aujourd'hui pour le 5e épisode du Let's Play sur le jeu Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. J'espère que vous allez bien pour ma part. Ça va, la dernière fois on avait pu assister à l'avant-première de ce Stanley Parable tout. Bon en vrai ça avait pas l'air ouf. Mais on a des nouveaux ajouts dans ce jeu. Et oui, on a des ballons. Voilà, des ballons. Et on a un seau. Et alors ça c'est franchement incroyable. Et on a aussi un nouveau menu pause. Et un nouveau menu principal aussi. J'espère vraiment que la prochaine fois que je lance le jeu, j'ai mon nouveau menu principal. Hein. Il faut que les choses se passent comme ça. Hein.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Alors attendez. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Qu'est-ce qu'on n'a pas fait déjà dans ce jeu? Bon, on va essayer de retourner au niveau du bureau du chef et voir si la porte est ouverte.
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd
Il va me parler du seau à chaque fois du coup. Ah, il lui dit
Stanley,
Ah.
Can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends.
C'est n'importe quoi.
That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient. That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner. Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together.
Pas beaucoup pour l'instant.
Point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Je n'ai pas vécu tant d'aventures que ça pour l'instant, moi, le
Coming to a
seau.
staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
On va voir le message là. Ah!
You found one of them. One of the miniature
On a vraiment un
figurines.
récolté.
Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
D'accord. Ok. Putain, je peux plus ouvrir cette porte, ça me trigger, j'ai pu l'ouvrir la première fois. Oh, je suis trop deg.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
C'est pas 8, 4, 5, 2.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation,
No.
Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it.
Il y a moitié ce qu'il dit comme connerie.
Inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad was 2845.
Ah, j'étais presque. Hein. J'avais les chiffres, mais je me rappelais plus de l'ordre.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Bon, on va pas refaire l'ascenseur à la suite. Oh, non, il y avait une figurine, faut qu'on remonte. Je suis désolé, c'est pour la figurine. Faut qu'on remonte. Je sais, vous n'en avez pas envie, mais il faut qu'on aille chercher cette figurine.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Putain, j'ai des petits frises des fois. Faut qu'on remonte pour la figurine. Je suis désolé.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again.
Quoi?
The bucket said nothing.
Il y aura un truc si j'appuie sur le numéro 3. Par contre, c'est insane qu'il y ait un dialogue avec le... Oh non, elle est pas là, la figurine? Non, si, attendez. Non? Non, la figurine n'est plus là. Oh, je suis trop déçu. Ah, attendez, il se passe un truc si j'appuie sur le 3?
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Well, he said, the number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
Oh, je suis trop deg, la figurine, fallait la voir avant.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the
Attends, par
number
contre,
3
c'est
repeatedly.
insane. Ça veut dire que pour chaque truc, il y a un nouveau dialogue avec le seau. Oh my god.
A hint of regret nagged in the back of Stanley's mind. Should he demonstrate the number 3? Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Ah oui, c'est vrai qu'il y avait ce truc. Au revoir.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Ah bon?
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
C'est vrai que ça me met hyper mal à l'aise. En vrai, j'ai un peu peur. C'est un couloir qui s'avance à l'infini. Trop de lumière et apparemment je vais mourir à la fin donc... La fuck? Oh.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying the bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
La fuck? La fuck, il se passe quoi encore?
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Ah mais j'ai plus mon seau est mort. Le seau vous accueille à la grande exposition. Vous tenez au bord du savoir, tout comme un seau. L'esprit humain est souvent vide à l'intérieur, un vide caverneux, mais grâce à l'exposition qui se présente à vous, l'esprit peut se remplir, s'enrichir et être satisfait. Les connaissances du seau et son histoire sont les seules que nous ayons véritablement. Utiliserez-vous ce que vous apprenez ici dans le monde extérieur? Accepterez-vous l'esprit ouvert à ce qui peut paraître complexe quant aux informations de cette exposition? Changerez-vous votre vie et la vie de vos proches suite à cette exposition? Fermerez-vous les yeux pour continuer à vivre comme avant dans l'ignorance et l'obscurité? Mais attendez, moi je me pose tellement... J'ai trop d'interrogations là en fait. Il se passe quoi si tu viens ici sans le seau? Genre tu meurs ou t'arrives vraiment dans un truc... C'est chelou. Je me pose trop de questions.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
25 sauts. Une photographie de 25 sauts, le plus grand nombre de sauts pris en photo à ce jour. Le photographe a souffert d'une catatonie de plusieurs semaines causée par l'euphorie de l'exposition. Tant de sauts à la fois. Alors, je vais pas vous mytho que je pense qu'il y a plus que 25 sauts là actuellement sur cette image, mais c'est un détail. Un seau à 2 anses. Ce seau est illustré avec 2 anses. Cependant, un tel concept n'a jamais existé en vrai car il est considéré comme trop risqué et dangereusement expérimental. Chaque année, des dizaines de personnes sont mises à mort pour le simple fait d'essayer. Seau infernal, une reproduction de seau infernal qui, au Moyen-Âge, avait un attrait si intense que des dizaines de pays s'affrontèrent pour obtenir le contrôle. Il y eut des milliards de morts et malgré tout, simple fait demeure, personne ne peut contrôler un seau. Dessin de grotte. Si nous savons que les sauts précèdent l'existence de l'humanité, nous ne savons pas de combien de temps. Ces dessins de grotte illustrent la découverte humaine précoce des commodités du seau. À cette époque, le seau existait déjà depuis plusieurs millénaires. Observez dans ces dessins comme le seau se laissait utiliser et on jugeait les êtres humains comme étant dignes de ces trésors. The fuck. Ça part un peu loin. Le seau du stress, présenté sans commentaire. Ok. Je serais content d'avoir une expo sur le seau.
And certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Le seau accroché, cette œuvre symbolise la relation nécessaire entre le seau et l'humanité. Quel que soit ce que nous comprenons sur le seau, il y a toujours plus de connaissances qui restent inaccessibles. Cette distance est forcément pour notre bien. Oh.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Oui. J'ai beaucoup trop de questions. Déjà, il y a un dialogue qui commence à apparaître, mais il n'y a rien. Je me pose trop de questions. Donc, si j'avais pas eu le saut, peut-être que je serais mort direct. C'est juste que si j'avais le saut, bah, j'avais droit à cette expo. Ensuite, pourquoi j'ai une femme qui est devenue la narratrice pendant un instant, je ne sais pas. Et donc si je quittais le jeu, je pouvais peut-être déclencher quelque chose.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Figurine Finders Community Meeting today in the meeting room. Ah, peut-être une figurine dans la salle de meeting, c'est ça qu'on me dit? C'est encore un input. Oh, me dites pas qu'il faut le faire quand une seule session, le truc des inputs.
Stanley lifted the
Ça
bucket
sera revenu
into
à
his
zéro.
arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
The fuck? Il y aura une récompense pour les avoir tous trouvés. Statut de la mission, c'est une exposition de suite. Une grande pièce, beaucoup de cartons, des escaliers, quelque chose avec des escaliers. Endroit rouge et bleu, cheminée à proximité. Ok, donc. Je crois que cheminée à proximité, ça devait être celle dans le bureau que j'ai raté parce que je suis con. Fiez-vous à l'instinct de perfectionniste. Focus, pride, employé, you can do it. Mais peut-être que nous sommes incorrectables. Donc ok, ça me dit où c'est qu'elles sont. Mais une grande pièce, beaucoup de cartons. Des escaliers, quelque chose avec des escaliers, endroit rouge et bleu. Cheminée à proximité.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel
Oh
it?
non, pas encore.
The broom closet. It wants
ta
the
gueule.
bucket. You can coming to a staircase.
Cette
Stanley
là,
and
les
the bucket
escaliers,
walked
non?
upstairs to the boss's office.
Ah, je l'ai entendu.
Another miniature Stanley figurine.
Okay.
This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands?
Ouais, c'est
Stanley
mignon.
figs. What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Ok, on a une stade murine. Je retourne pas ici, on y est déjà allé une fois. Ah ah! Je vais nulle part ailleurs. Ah, foutre, la porte est ouverte. C'est pas grave pour la figurine. Ah! Oh, c'est ambiance. J'ai la sensation que ça va être très long. Bizarrement. Tu te fous de ma putain de gueule? Si je fais le bouton qui descend. Ok, bon je pense que c'est du troll puissance 10. Merveilleux, je suis super content d'être venu ici.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket
Je
guiding?
pensais qu'il y aurait une autre action si je trouvais le code.
This is certainly the most logical explanation. Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Moi j'aimais bien Mini Stanley, je trouvais ça mignon.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Alors,
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears.
ce qui me fait déconner, c'est qu'il faut le seau dans tout maintenant.
Reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Sûr.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content.
Et vraiment, on n'y voit rien ici. Hein. Pas moyen, la luminosité de l'augmenter. Non. Je peux plus augmenter la
Walking,
luminosité.
eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Toujours ce truc avec les boutons. Hein. Ouais, numéro 4, je peux pas y aller. Il était là, ouais, mais je peux pas se fermer. Puis ça fait rien d'appuyer dessus là. Et oui, par contre, j'y vois vraiment rien. Je peux pas augmenter la luminosité. Je suis en train de me dire que ça se trouve, il se passe un truc si on met la voix du narrateur à 0.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
On va l'activer.
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Ouais. Ok, on a une nouvelle fin.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah. Ok, de deux.
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
C'est triste là, le jeu il me propose plus rien. Enfin, il crée pas des events ou quoi que ce soit.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his
Je
left.
suis en train d'essayer de réfléchir. Pour les figurines, il y avait une salle pleine de cartons, un truc avec du rouge et du bleu. Bah, c'est les deux qui me manquent en fait, oui. Un truc avec du rouge et du bleu. Et il manque ce truc avec les cartons. Le truc avec les cartons, ça doit être là-bas.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
On devait avoir un truc si on
And
a
here
que le
it
saut
was.
ici.
Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Je pense que j'ai un truc si on a que le saut. Enfin, il y a plus de dialogue. Je vois les dialogues avec le
Truly,
saut.
being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right. Then walking to the lounge. Then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had inspired.
Je vais voir tous les dialogues avec le saut.
Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home. Here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home. Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
Bah oui, bien sûr. Encore un dialogue? Peut-être pas. Ça n'a pas l'air.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
C'est vrai qu'il y avait ce truc, ça faisait quoi? Ça déjà pas fin troublante, je crois que c'était ça, non? Je sais plus. Moi, j'ai envie d'aller là avec tous les cartons.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Regardez, elle est là, figurine.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll
Wow.
collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by
C'est
then.
où la zone rouge et
Different in the
bleue?
sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Par contre, là, je suis foutu, non? Ah, attendez. Voilà. Où suis-je? Plein de cassettes.
Okay, this is day number 295, tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make
Ouais, mais c'est
sense.
Stanley qui parle du coup?
There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket.
Bien flippant.
This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get me. What's that? Who's there?
The fuck? Mais encore une fois, qu'est-ce qui se passe si j'ai là, si j'ai pas le seau? Mais what the fuck?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Mais oui, du coup, on est bien d'accord. Hein. Si, il y a une barrière qui est pas là. Hein.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly.
On va aller à
to his
droite.
chest. This was not the correct way to the
On va aller
meeting
jusqu'à la
room.
salle des cartons encore une fois.
Stanley had felt the bucket calling
Parce
to
que je viens
him,
de capter que je pouvais
telling
faire un
him that
truc.
the employee lounge was simply the
J'avais déjà
place
pensé la
to
dernière
be.
fois, mais
And here it was.
je l'ai
That
pas
the
fait.
bucket turned out to be correct. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the
Je
meeting
peux
room.
sauter au
Go
niveau de
somewhere
là, en
else.
fait.
The cargo lift, yes. Go good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Danger partout.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here?
Non, je vais devoir
Unless-
venir sans le seau.
What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Mais c'est insane. Le nombre de trucs que ce seau change. What the fuck? Faut faire tout le jeu avec le seau en fait.
Now then,
Est-ce un seau?
I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Oui.
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Ah d'accord.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Oui.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual
D'accord.
bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket?
Oui.
Correct. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Bah non.
Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
Faudra qu'on vienne ici pour essayer de faire que des bonnes réponses. Hein. Ou que des mauvaises.
Is this a bucket?
Quoi?
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Ok. Hein?
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
La question ultime.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
Quoi?
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket? Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Ça n'a aucun sens. What the fuck?
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
Pourquoi il me dit ça? Quoi? Le dialogue était différent. What the fuck, j'ai rien compris. Bon, du coup, j'ai envie d'aller à l'endroit de tout à l'heure, mais sans le seau. Donc, je t'abandonne, petit seau. Pour aujourd'hui. Pour cette nouvelle aventure.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to
J'espère
the
que le seau va
meeting
pas
room,
l'avoir
and
mauvaise
Stanley
envers moi.
knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Il y a un ballon là-haut. Il y a quelques
Look,
ballons.
Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you
No.
that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Déjà, le panneau là, il est forcément là à chaque fois.
Now
Ah,
listen
rouge et
carefully,
bleu.
this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Voilà, pour prendre après. Ok, il m'a dit de pencher à rouge. Alors, attendez.
And there it is, the last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that.
Ah, bah oui.
So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Ok. Mais il m'a dit de prendre la rouge, donc on va prendre la
Oh,
rouge.
thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Ok.
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes.
What the
Oh, it's
fuck?
beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Je vais voir s'il va se passer un truc quand ça va se rejoindre. Waouh! Ok. D'accord. On parle loin dans cet épisode, hein? Putain, mais on a déjà si long dans l'épisode? Waouh! Ok, moi je pense que je peux continuer.
No, wait. Where are you going? Right. Where were we?
Ah. Bah, le jeu a planté. Avant que c'était voulu. Ah, je peux plus rien savoir avec ce jeu. Bah, je le relance du coup. Mais je peux plus rien savoir avec ce jeu. Du coup, il va me redemander mon heure, non? Ah, je peux rétablir la luminosité? D'accord. Oui, donc rappelez-vous, il m'a mis des nouveaux curseurs. Ah, mais par contre, je voulais pas que le jeu plante, quoi. Est-ce que le menu change? Ouais, d'accord. Oculotatoire gratèche. J'aime bien oculotatoire. Je trouve que ça sonne très bien. Ne réglez pas le curseur. Ok. Vous savez quelle heure il est? Oui. Euh, Bah non, vu que tu m'affiches un. Oui. C'est chose que vous n'avez pas encore dit sur vous-même. Ah bah oui. Aidez-moi. Oui. Reviendrez-vous me voir? Oui. Ça fait peur un peu. Et du coup, il va me remettre où? Oh! Eh ben... Eh bien, on y retourne. Je fais une coupure. Du coup. What the fuck? Oui. Euh... Bon bah ok, je voulais arrêter mon épisode, mais...
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines.
Mais c'est vrai qu'on a fait ça, oui.
I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Donc heureux, mon jeu a encore une fois planté, et ça me fait énormément chier, parce qu'en fait, OBS aussi a planté. Alors, faut que je vous explique ce qui s'est passé. Le jeu a planté. Ok. J'ai donc relancé le jeu. OBS n'avait pas planté. Hein. Enfin, en tout cas, j'ai pas eu de notification que OBS avait planté. Donc moi, j'ai relancé le jeu et je continuais mon épisode malgré ces plantages. Et donc, vous savez, quand on lance le jeu, il y a donc ce mec qui nous parle. Et, bah, fuck my life. OBS a planté quand je suis revenu ici. Et ça m'a quand même pas enregistré les genre 2 dernières minutes d'avant. En gros, vous n'avez pas vu quand j'ai relancé le jeu et les nouveaux dialogues avec le mec avec qui on cause quand on relance le jeu. Donc, vite fait, bien fait. Enfin, vite fait, bien fait. Vite fait, le mec. Qu'est-ce qu'il a dit réellement qu'on se connaissait pas. Que son boulot c'était juste de régler des trucs dans le menu ou je sais pas quoi. Et que c'est la dernière fois qu'on le verra. Ou que peut-être il a une dernière chose à faire et qu'on le reverra encore une fois. Et la dernière chose qu'il a dit c'est parler bientôt. Voilà, je ne sais pas ce que ça voulait dire, mais parler bientôt. Bref, dans tous les cas, on va cesser ça pour cet épisode. Je suis désolé pour les 2 crashs et pour le crash de BS. Voilà, donc je sais pas pourquoi j'ai eu la notif du crash après le crash. Bref, tout ça n'a plus aucun sens. Je suis désolé, vraiment, moi ça me fait chier plus qu'autre chose. J'espère en tout cas que cet épisode vous aura plu. On fera du coup Bah là, on va aller faire le truc des figurines. De toute façon, j'ai pas le choix. Je suis softlock, j'ai envie de dire, ici. Je serai obligé d'aller voir le truc des figurines. Puis on fera le truc psychédélique sur lequel on s'est arrêté. Enfin, sur lequel j'ai crash. Et on verra qu'est-ce qui se passera d'autre. Ça se trouve, il y a d'autres éléments qui vont se passer. Je ne pourrai pas faire ce que je voulais. Bref, on se retrouve pour le prochain épisode. J'espère que celui-ci vous aura plu. C'est le cas, n'hésitez pas à mettre un j'aime, à vous abonner si ce n'est pas déjà fait. Et je vous dis à plus. Allez, bye bye.